Hello everyone. Today's lesson will be about affixes. So, what is an affix? An affix is a letter or group of letters which is added to either the beginning or the end of a word to form a different word with a different meaning. So, an affix can contain suffixes and prefixes. And here are some common suffixes. For example, suffix y, which means full of. The other example of suffixes is suffix us, which also means full of. Moving on to prefixes. Here are some common prefixes. Prefix re. Re means to do again. Prefix un. Un means not. Prefix pre means before. And finally, prefix dis means opposite of. So, what is suffix? A suffix is a letter or group of letters that can be added to a word to change its meaning. So suffixes can be added at the end of a word to change its meaning. So here are some examples of suffixes. The word sleep. This is the original word, but by adding the suffix y, it becomes sleepy, which means full of sleep. Another example is cloudy. The original word is cloud, but by adding the suffix y, it changed the meaning, so now the word means full of clouds. Another suffix example is suffix us, which also means full of. And here are some examples of suffix us. The first word is spacious. Spacious means full of space or roomy. The second word is curious. Curious means interested in something. The last example is furious. Furious means full of anger. As you can see here, by adding the suffixes at the end of the word, it's changing it into a new word. Moving on, what is a prefix? As we mentioned before, the suffixes comes at the end of the word. But here, prefixes comes at the beginning of the word. So, a prefix is a group of letters placed before the root of a word. And here are some common prefixes: re, un, pre, dis. And here I'm going to say some examples of prefix re, which means to do again. The first one is repaint, to paint again. The second example is reread, to read again. And the third example is to rewrite, to write again. And here again, we are saying prefixes which is changing the meaning of the word, even if we add it at the beginning. Another example of the prefixes is prefix un, which means not. First example is unhappy, which means not happy. The other example is unfair, which means not fair. So, for the third prefix is pre, which means before. The first example of it is preview, which means to view before. The second example is pre-cook, which means to cook beforehand. So here, by using pre, by adding it at the beginning of the word, you are changing the meaning into a new meaning. Moving on to the prefix dis, which means opposite of. So the first example is dislike, which means opposite of like. The second example is disagree, which means opposite of agree. As you can tell here that we are adding a prefix at the beginning of the word to change the whole meaning of the word. Thank you all for listening.